Fall leaves are starting to change across the U.S. When will the peak timing for fall leaves be all across the nation? Well, it comes to a couple different factors. You have the average peak, and that's when we've looked over all these past years. When do we generally get the fall leaves to get their biggest pops of orange, reds, and yellows? However, every year can be a little bit different, mainly based on the weather, how the summer was, how the fall has been so far, and how the fall will possibly be over the next couple of weeks. Next couple of weeks are crucial. So we're going to be taking a look at generally what the forecast is temperature-wise and a little bit on rainfall. And they'll put it all together and give you the forecast timeline of when we expect the fall leaves to really peak all across the U.S. in case you're traveling and you want to figure out when you want to make sure you go to that particular region in order to get the best chance to see the fall leaves peak, because they only last for about a week anywhere you are across the U.S. So you want to aim for that peak week. Temperature-wise, we're looking at a lot of warm air, especially for the rest of September. This is specifically from the middle to the end of September. September is a really crucial month. In fact, probably arguably one of the most important months when you're trying to figure out how colorful the fall leaves will be and also the timing of the fall leaves. There really aren't any places where we're expecting cooler than normal conditions. Now, where you see all these reds and oranges, including Indiana, we are deeply into that orange, showing you above average temperatures expected. Is mostly about the overnight temperatures. How cool can we get at night? And as some of these fronts come on throughout the month of September, we're going to get some cool nights. So things will be working in our favor, but there will also be some warm nights that kind of pause things. So this might be an indication that we may have to delay the peak of those fall leaves. Plus, we got to look at the drought. Now, drought and dry conditions really impact the color of the fall leaves. However, there's a slight indication that it could also impact the delay of the fall leaf peak as well. When you're looking at this map, lots of yellows, lots of reds and oranges. When you really look at the reds and oranges, those are the more intense drought areas. So we've got some just outside of Indiana towards Ohio. So if you're maybe headed out towards the Appalachians, very popular area to go see the fall leaves as you enter West Virginia. The leaves may not be as colorful this year. We've had a drought here for the past couple of months. Indiana, we've got some dry conditions here and there, but we're looking okay. So from a drought perspective, it doesn't really impact the timeline of when we expect the fall leaves to be changing. You look out towards the west, parts of the desert Southwest, not usually an area known for seeing the fall leaves, but the fall leaf color will be delayed. The Northwest, though, a lot of good fall leaf color. Once you get into parts of Montana and Idaho, they may be delayed a little bit, and the colors may be a little bit duller when you're looking at the lack of rainfall that they've had. Now let's put everything together. We've looked at some temperatures. We've looked at some drought conditions. When are we expecting the fall leaves to peak? So we've got a lot of colors on this map. You start with yellow for early October, mid-October, late October, and then we've taken November, divided into 3 sections as well. We're going to start in the northeast. We're going to go head towards the eastern Great Lakes and parts of New England. Maybe a slight delay in peak colors by about 2 to 4 days is what we're expecting. So if you're wanting to head up to the Adirondacks, you're still aiming for early and mid-October. Leaf colors going to be great there as it normally is. Once you slide a little bit farther west, though, towards Indiana, we're kind of in the mid and late October range. Once you head south, peak colors probably delayed a little bit too. Once you get towards the Carolinas, we're right about average, but once you get to Georgia and Alabama, Mississippi, and Tennessee, the peak color timeline may be delayed by about a week or so. So you can see the colors. Maybe you're headed towards parts of Nashville. Early November is going to be your timeline. Now we'll head a little bit farther westbound. We're going to head to the south central U.S., not an area known for peak fall colors, for really vibrant colors, but we're probably going to be a little bit more delayed than normal, maybe by about a week or so once you get into Texas, Oklahoma, and that extends into Kansas as well. Let's go north. Got great fall leaf color, right? Once you get to Minnesota, Wisconsin, even parts of the Great Lakes, the western Great Lakes too. We've had to push some of these zones a little bit farther north. That means we've delayed things a little bit. So even for Indiana, we're generally looking for late October. However, southern Indiana, we've kind of moved this red color a little bit farther north. That's early November that we've got to look out for some of those fall leaves. So for most of central Indiana, we're probably going to be about 4 or 5 days a little bit late this year if we keep the warmer stretches of weather coming and we keep some of the drier conditions coming as well. We may have to push things back a little bit, but we're still generally looking towards late October. We've also pushed the zones a little bit farther north across much of the Corn Belt, up north towards the northern plains. Late October is going to be the timeline rather than maybe mid-October. So a lot of these dates, a couple days off. We'll finally end up towards the west, Because of this high pressure heat dome that we're getting here for a while, we've also kind of raised the zones a little bit. Now, here's one kind of caveat to that. In the mountains where you get stunning fall colors, the temperatures are still going to be able to drop at night, no matter what the heat dome is really doing. But when we're looking at lower elevations, closer to some of the cities, that's where you may have to wait an extra 4, 5, 6, 7 days to get that peak. So now let's wrap up all across the United States. You can kind of take a look at this map, pause it. We've got some of the pictures below, but you're going to be able to see generally where you're trying to go. Maybe you're headed to Carolinas, you're headed to the Adirondacks, maybe you're headed to Brown County. This is the map that's going to help you kind of figure out when you should plan that trip to see the peak fall colors. We also have a video and a whole article write-up on how colorful we think the fall leaves are going to be in different locations. This is mainly about timeline, not necessarily how colorful the fall leaves will be. We talked to some folks in Brown County, some of the state park folks there, and they say, you know, we get color every year. It's just a question about how bright it's going to be, but October is your timeline for Indiana.